Alrighty, in this video we're going to finish our playlist component stub, and then I'm going to overview all of the markup of our page that we have so far. So again, I am going through this a little quickly, but we will talk about what all these things do here in a moment. Since we've already outlined it here, I want to just take this outline, put it into the HTML document so that we can look in the inspector and look at how all the components kind of work together. So in our playlist, I have a very specific markup that I'm trying to go for. A very specific order of elements that's going to allow us to do things like have our scroll area. It's going to allow us to have our Chrome and our playing indicator and all of that fun stuff. So basically, it's going to go like this. First thing we're going to do is create our toolbar. I'm going to say const toolbar equals new playlist toolbar component, and toolbar attach this mount. So toolbar is mounted directly to the playlist component. I'm not going to do this children pushed quite yet. I'm going to combine that all at the bottom. So then I'm going to do something silly. I'm going to create an element inside of my playlist called Chrome. And I'm going to create this element using jQuery. I'm going to say div class equals Chrome. Then I'm going to say append to this mount. Then I'm going to create, my scroll area. So I'm going to say this scroll area equals div class equals scroll area, append to this Chrome. Next up, I'm going to create my list component. So const list equals new playlist list component, and list is going to be attached to the scroll area. Then I'm going to create my context menu. And the context menu is going to be attached to my scroll area as well. So context menu dot attach this scroll area. Then I'm going to create my Chrome equals new playlist Chrome component. And Chrome is going to be attached to, well, this .chrome. So Chrome attach this Chrome. And then I'm going to say this children.push, and I'm going to push my toolbar, my list, my context menu, and my Chrome. So all of these guys get disposed of. There's one more thing we need to do with the playlist before I show you guys what the markup is going to look like and explain why all these elements are necessary. And that is on detach, I want to say this Chrome remove. So we want to make sure, because we created the Chrome and we mounted it directly to our mount, we want to make sure that we remove the Chrome. And by removing the Chrome, we'll also remove the scroll area. But anyway, take a look at this code for a second. I'll scroll down. But these are all of our playlist components. So let's go ahead and see what the DOM looks like. Let's come over here. And if I inspect this, maybe move this off to the side, we do have an error in the console. I want to know what that is. Console, oh, that was an old error. Move that to the side. Okay, so we have our site wrap, our column left, and then our playlist. Inside of our playlist, we have our H1. We have our toolbar, which is empty. We have three Chromes, which the reason we had multiple Chromes was because on I was hot module reloading when I didn't have that code that removed the Chrome. If you guys understand what I mean. I was hitting Control-S as I was writing this code, but I didn't have this on detach, this Chrome remove yet, which left that around, and kind of nasty there. But now that that's fixed, we won't have that problem anymore. So we have the toolbar, which is underneath the header, and then we have our Chrome, which underneath that is our scroll area, which underneath that is our playlist list, and our context menu. And those are the components that make up our playlist. Really, at the end of the day, at this point, all that's left for the HTML of our playlist is adding items to our playlist list, populating our context menu and our toolbar. But with that markup, we can write a very powerful playlist component. So again, we have these four components. We have playlist, player, users, and chat. And looking at the diagram again, this is how they all relate. So I was kind of iffy about stubbing all of these components out this early on in the series. And I know it might be a little overwhelming at this point, but what I wanted to do again my goal here, the reason I decided to do it, was it provides us a roadmap of each individual component that we can complete in succession. I also, again, find it really useful to kind of map out your component architecture. It doesn't matter if you're using React, or if you're using Angular, or if you're not using anything at all. Knowing how your components kind of stack and what relates to what is going to significantly help you out, not only by giving you a to-do list, but also it makes you be able to conceptualize your application a little bit better. Especially how different things might communicate with the server. As you'll see in the coming videos, the way this was architected, the way the components are separated, plays into how the server will be organized as well. Furthermore, with this stub all out of the way, we can now worry about other things. There are a couple other things I do want to stub out. However, I do want to kind of get our stores in place. We haven't really talked about what stores are yet. Now we will, but I do want to be able to stub out both our stores and the relationships between them, as well as the server-side modules, because we're going to be organizing our server in a way where each one of these components, except for the player, all have a corresponding server-side module to it. So it's all very, I don't know, there's a big symmetry, I guess you could say, between the client and the server, and that's how we like things. It makes things easy to reason about. But again, what we have accomplished is we have our chat module, which has our main chat module, our chat form, and our chat list, the two submodules, or two subcomponents rather. Our super simple player, which will probably be the last component that we implement, because I don't want to do this whole course with a YouTube player going on in the background. And then we have our playlist, which is the most complicated one. We have our Chrome, which is responsible for the outside of the playlist, the window Chrome, you can think of it as. Our context menu for when we right-click on items. Our list for displaying our items. Our sort for adding the functionality of being able to drag and drop items. Our toolbar for showing us buttons like adding items. And our playlist, which brings all of those together in a nice, neat way. Things like it's funny, things like the Chrome, I could have actually added the behavior of the Chrome right on the playlist component, but I didn't. And the reason why I didn't is because the playlist component is kind of this master component with all these sub-components, and I didn't want to break that symmetry. Generally speaking, there's in software development and programming, there's this sort of good code practice where you write things at the same abstraction level. Meaning, this playlist component is just responsible for creating a bunch of other components, so you can think of it as a higher level of abstraction. It doesn't really do anything. And that's why I decided to take the Chrome component and make it its own thing. It makes it so the playlist component doesn't feel lopsided. And so that's why that component exists. Anyway, then we have the users component, which is super straightforward, just a list of things. This will be probably the first component that we implement. And all of this stuff is required right up in our application in the Bootstrap, or before the Bootstrap. Anyway, with that, I think that finishes this video. And the next video, we have more stubs to do. So we'll see you guys then.